What happens when a lone human soldier forms an alliance with a defecting alien warrior against their own kind? As Earth faces annihilation, this betrayal sets off a chain of events that will leave you questioning who the real enemy is. The day Earth fell began with silence. Not the peaceful quiet of dawn, but the eerie stillness before a storm. Marcus Stone was stationed at Outpost Delta 7, a remote military base nestled deep within Alaska's frozen wilderness. The outpost was designed to monitor for potential threats in the Arctic Circle, though no one could have predicted what was about to come. He had spent years preparing for war, years honing his skills as a decorated Special Forces operative, but nothing could prepare him for the sight of thousands of alien vessels descending from the heavens. Their hulls shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the dying sunlight as they unleashed devastating beams of energy. Cities crumbled, oceans boiled, entire continents were reduced to ash in mere moments. It was as if humanity's existence meant nothing to these invaders, their technology far beyond anything Earth had ever seen. Amidst the chaos, something unexpected happened. A single alien craft broke formation and crash-landed mere miles from Marcus's position. Against orders, he ventured out alone, armed with little more than determination and a pulse rifle. His superiors had warned him not to engage, but Marcus had always been someone who trusted his instincts over protocol. The crash site was eerily silent, the wreckage smoking and sparking as if alive. When he reached it, he found not a conqueror but a deserter, a towering insectoid creature named Zartul, whose glowing eyes betrayed both fear and resolve. "I am no friend to your kind," Zartul rasped through a translation device, "but I am less a friend to mine. We've only scratched the surface of this story, but trust me, it's about to get even more intense. Stay tuned because what happens next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about loyalty, survival, and sacrifice." Zartul explained that his people, the Christians, were not invaders but pawns in a larger game orchestrated by their ruthless overlords, the Synarch Collective. This shadowy regime sought to harvest planets for resources, leaving behind lifeless husks. Earth was merely their latest target. Marcus listened intently, torn between skepticism and desperation. Could he trust this stranger, or was this some elaborate trap? The decision came swiftly when a squadron of Christian drones descended upon them, forcing the unlikely duo to flee together. As they navigated treacherous terrain, Marcus learned that Zartul carried classified intel detailing the collective's plans. If they could deliver it to Earth's remaining resistance forces, there might be a chance to turn the tide. But first, they needed to survive. Each step forward brought new dangers: hostile wildlife, environmental hazards, and relentless pursuit by Zartul's former comrades. Despite their differences, a fragile bond formed between the two warriors, forged in fire and necessity. One particularly harrowing moment came when they were ambushed by a pack of feral alien creatures, their razor-sharp claws glinting in the moonlight. Marcus fought valiantly, but it was Zartul who turned the tide, using his natural agility and strength to dispatch the beasts with brutal efficiency. As they caught their breath afterward, Marcus couldn't help but marvel at the alien's skill. "You're full of surprises," he muttered, earning a faint hum of acknowledgement from Zartul. Their journey took them across vast landscapes scarred by conflict. Alien ruins rose like skeletal fingers from the earth, remnants of civilizations long erased by the Synarch Collective. It was here that Marcus discovered the true extent of Zartul's guilt. The insectoid warrior revealed that he had once served as an enforcer for the regime, carrying out atrocities that haunted him to this day. His defection wasn't born of altruism but of regret, a desperate attempt to atone for past sins. Meanwhile, Marcus grappled with his own demons. Memories of fallen comrades weighed heavily on his conscience, fueling his determination to fight back. Together, they scavenged supplies from abandoned outposts, narrowly avoiding ambushes set by both Christian patrols and rogue human scavengers. One particularly harrowing encounter left Marcus injured, forcing Zartul to carry him to safety. In that moment, Their alliance solidified, not as soldier and deserter, but as equals united by a shared purpose. Their journey took them across vast landscapes scarred by conflict. Alien ruins rose like skeletal fingers from the earth, remnants of civilizations long erased by the Synarch Collective. These structures were unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. Towering spires made of materials that seemed to shift and shimmer depending on the angle of light. Some bore strange symbols etched into their surfaces, glowing faintly as if charged with latent energy. Zartal explained that these ruins were all that remained of ancient races conquered and exterminated by the Collective. They strip worlds bare, he said grimly, leaving nothing but echoes. It was here that Marcus discovered the true extent of Zartal's guilt. The insectoid warrior revealed that he had once served as an enforcer for the regime, carrying out atrocities that haunted him to this day. His defection wasn't born of altruism but of regret, a desperate attempt to atone for past sins. He spoke of entire populations enslaved, forced to mine rare minerals under horrific conditions. He described villages burned to the ground, their inhabitants slaughtered without mercy. Each confession weighed heavily on Marcus, forcing him to confront uncomfortable truths about morality and redemption. Could someone responsible for such horrors truly change? Or was Zartal simply using humanity as a means to escape his own fate? Meanwhile, Marcus grappled with his own demons. Memories of fallen comrades weighed heavily on his conscience, fueling his determination to fight back. He often found himself staring at the horizon, wondering how many lives could have been saved if Earth had been better prepared. Yet Zartal's presence offered a strange kind of comfort. Though outwardly different, they shared a common burden, the weight of loss and the desire for redemption. Together, they scavenged supplies from abandoned outposts, narrowly avoiding ambushes set by both Christian patrols and rogue human scavengers. One particularly harrowing encounter left Marcus injured, forcing Zartal to carry him to safety. In that moment, their alliance solidified, not as soldier and deserter, but as equals united by a shared purpose. As they neared the coordinates for a hidden resistance bunker, tensions mounted. The intel Zartal possessed was incomplete. Critical data fragments remained locked inside his neural implant, requiring specialized equipment to extract. Without it, the information was useless. To make matters worse, the bunker's location had been compromised. A massive Christian warship loomed overhead, its searchlights cutting through the darkness. Trapped between certain death and impossible odds, Marcus devised a daring plan. Using improvised explosives crafted from salvaged materials, they lured a squad of enemy soldiers into a narrow canyon, collapsing the walls and buying precious time to escape. Along the way, Zartal demonstrated combat skills far beyond anything Marcus had seen, blending brute strength with calculated precision. Yet despite their success, doubts lingered. Could they truly overcome an empire built on conquest? Marcus wrestled with this question constantly, often lying awake at night while Zartal stood watch. "Do you think we stand a chance?" he asked one evening, breaking the silence. Zartal paused before responding, his glowing eyes fixed on the horizon. "Chances are irrelevant," he said finally. "What matters is action. Even small acts can ripple outward, shaping destinies." This philosophy resonated deeply with Marcus, reinforcing his resolve. Still, the road ahead was fraught with peril. Every step brought them closer to danger and closer to answers. The resistance welcomed them cautiously, their leader, a hardened veteran named Commander Elena Vega, eyeing Zartal with suspicion. She questioned his motives, accusing him of playing both sides. Marcus defended his ally fiercely, arguing that without Zartal's knowledge, humanity stood no chance. Reluctantly, Vega agreed to help decrypt the data, assigning her best technicians to the task. Days turned into weeks as the team worked tirelessly, decoding fragment after fragment. During this time, Marcus grew closer to Vega, finding solace in her unwavering resolve. Vega was a woman shaped by loss and resilience. Her family had perished in the initial invasion, leaving her with nothing but a burning desire for vengeance. Yet beneath her steely exterior lay a deep well of compassion, evident in the way she cared for her people. She often joined Marcus on reconnaissance missions, proving herself not only a capable strategist but also a skilled fighter. Their shared experiences forged a bond neither had anticipated, though Marcus remained wary of letting emotions cloud his judgment. Meanwhile, Zartul remained distant, haunted by visions of his homeworld's destruction. He spent long hours alone, meditating or tinkering with alien tech scavenged from the ruins. When pressed, he revealed fragments of his past, how he had once been celebrated as a hero among his kind, only to become an outcast when he refused to carry out orders that violated his conscience. These revelations added layers to his character, making him more relatable yet infinitely complex. Despite his contributions to the resistance, many still viewed him with distrust, a fact that weighed heavily on Marcus. "We're fighting for the same cause," he told Vega one night. "Doesn't that count for something?" When the decryption finally succeeded, the revelations shocked everyone. The Synarch Collective planned to deploy a doomsday weapon capable of annihilating entire star systems. Worse still, its activation sequence had already begun. With mere days until deployment, Marcus and Zartul volunteered for a suicide mission to infiltrate the Collective's central command hub located on KRYSS Prime. The stakes have never been higher. What happens next will shatter alliances, redefine morality, and change the fate of two species forever. You can't afford to miss how this unfolds. Traveling to KRYSS Prime proved perilous. Disguised aboard a captured Christian transport vessel, Marcus and Zartul endured cramped quarters and constant paranoia. Every checkpoint brought the risk of discovery, every glance from passing soldiers a potential death sentence. Zartul used his intimate knowledge of Christian protocols to navigate safely, while Marcus relied on quick thinking and sheer nerve. Upon arrival, they marveled at the planet's otherworldly beauty. Towering crystalline spires reflected light in dazzling patterns, while rivers of molten lava carved paths through jagged mountains. Beneath this facade of grandeur lay a society rife with oppression. Enslaved populations toiled under harsh conditions, their labor powering the Collective's war machine. Witnessing such suffering reignited Zartul's resolve. He vowed to free his people even if it cost him his life. His determination inspired Marcus, who saw parallels between the plight of the Christians and humanity's own struggle. Together, they devised a plan to blend into the workforce, disguising themselves as prisoners assigned to maintenance duties within the command hub. This required meticulous preparation, including altering their appearances and memorizing complex schedules. Their infiltration began smoothly, aided by stolen uniforms and forged credentials. But as they approached the command hub, alarms blared, signaling the presence of intruders. Panic surged through Marcus as he realized their cover might be blown. Zartul, however, remained calm, quickly assessing the situation. "Follow me," he whispered, leading them through a labyrinth of service tunnels. Along the way, they encountered groups of enslaved workers, their hollow eyes filled with despair. Zartul paused briefly, offering words of encouragement in their native tongue. Though brief, these interactions left a lasting impression on Marcus, reinforcing the importance of hope even in the darkest times. As they neared their destination, the air grew thick with tension. Every sound seemed amplified, every shadow a potential threat. They knew the hardest part was yet to come. Chaos erupted as Christian guards swarmed the corridors, forcing Marcus and Zartul to abandon stealth for brute force. Bullets ricocheted off metallic walls as they fought their way deeper into the facility. Zartul moved like a living weapon, his claws slicing through enemies with lethal efficiency. Marcus matched his ferocity, wielding his rifle with expert precision. Together, they carved a path of destruction, leaving behind a trail of fallen foes. Despite their prowess, exhaustion began to take its toll. Wounds accumulated, ammunition dwindled, and the weight of their mission pressed heavily on their shoulders. At one point, Marcus collapsed from blood loss, prompting Zartul to administer emergency medical treatment using alien technology. Grateful for the reprieve, Marcus pushed onward, driven by the knowledge that failure meant extinction. Finally, they reached the control room, a cavernous chamber filled with pulsating machinery and holographic displays. Here, they faced their greatest challenge yet. The control room was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. Glowing panels covered every surface, displaying streams of data in languages he couldn't decipher. In the center stood a massive console, its interface humming with energy. Zartul immediately set to work, his claws moving deftly across the controls. "We don't have much time," he warned, sweat, or whatever passed for it in his species, beating on his exoskeleton. Marcus stood guard, his rifle trained on the entrance as the sounds of pursuit grew louder. Just as Zartul accessed the system, reinforcements arrived, led by a towering Christian commander radiating authority. "You dare defy destiny?" the commander sneered, activating automated defenses that sprang to life around them. Laser turrets emerged from the walls, targeting Marcus and Zartul with deadly accuracy. Dodging blasts and returning fire, the duo realized brute force alone wouldn't suffice. Thinking quickly, Marcus hacked into the system, disabling half the turrets while Zartul engaged the commander in hand-to-hand combat. The battle was brutal, each strike reverberating through the chamber. Sparks flew as metal clashed against chitin, neither opponent willing to yield. Meanwhile, Marcus worked frantically to access the weapon's deactivation codes. Just as the commander gained the upper hand, pinning Zartul to the ground, Marcus succeeded. With a triumphant shout, he initiated the shutdown sequence, causing the entire facility to tremble violently. The facility began to collapse around them, structural supports failing under the strain of the aborted doomsday weapon. Debris rained down as Marcus and Zartul fled, dodging falling beams and collapsing floors. The commander pursued relentlessly, unwilling to let his prey escape. Cornered in a narrow passageway, Zartul made a selfless decision. Turning to face the commander, he unleashed a powerful burst of bioelectric energy stored within his body, a last resort attack that would leave him fatally weakened. The explosion sent shockwaves rippling through the corridor, incapacitating the commander and clearing their path. Staggering forward, Zartul urged Marcus to leave him behind. "Go," he commanded, his voice barely audible above the cacophony. Marcus hesitated, torn between duty and loyalty. Ultimately, he chose to stay, dragging Zartul along despite the growing danger. Together, they emerged into the open-air moments before the facility imploded in a spectacular display of destruction. Breathing heavily, Marcus surveyed the devastation. Fires raged in the distance, illuminating the night sky with an eerie orange glow. Zartul lay motionless beside him, his breathing shallow. "Hold on," Marcus pleaded, cradling the alien warrior in his arms. "We did it. We stopped them." Zartul managed a faint hum, his glowing eyes dimming. "For what it's worth, I'm glad I met you," he whispered before succumbing to his injuries. Marcus sat in stunned silence, overwhelmed by grief and gratitude. Though victorious, the cost had been immense. As dawn broke over the horizon, he vowed to honor Zartul's sacrifice by continuing the fight for freedom, for both humans and Christians alike. Emerging from the ruins, Marcus and Zartul witnessed the aftermath of their victory. Billowing clouds of smoke obscured the horizon, while survivors emerged from hiding, tentative smiles breaking through the haze of despair. News of the doomsday weapon's destruction spread rapidly, igniting hope among the oppressed populations of KRYSS Prime. Inspired by Zartul's courage, many rose up against their oppressors, sparking rebellions across the planet. Back on Earth, news of the mission's success galvanized the resistance, leading to coordinated counterattacks against remaining Christian forces. For Marcus and Zartul, however, the battle was far from over. Though gravely wounded, Zartul refused medical treatment, insisting his time was near. Sitting beneath the twin suns of KRYSS Prime, he expressed gratitude for having found redemption in Marcus's company. As his final breaths faded, Marcus vowed to honor his sacrifice by continuing the fight for freedom, for both humans and Christians alike. The loss of Zartul left a void that no words could fill. Marcus spent hours sitting beside the alien warrior's makeshift grave, staring at the horizon as if searching for answers in the endless expanse of stars. He replayed their journey in his mind, the moments of triumph, the shared silences, the unspoken bond that had grown between them. Zartul had been more than an ally. He had become a mirror reflecting Marcus's own struggles with guilt, loyalty, and purpose. Now, without him, Marcus felt adrift, unsure how to move forward. Yet deep down, he knew what Zartul would have wanted, to keep fighting no matter the odds. As the days passed, Marcus threw himself into aiding the rebellion. The enslaved Christians rallied around him, seeing him not as an outsider but as someone who had stood shoulder to shoulder with one of their own. They taught him their language, shared stories of their suffering, and entrusted him with their hopes for the future. In return, Marcus offered them something they hadn't known in generations: belief in the possibility of change. Together, they dismantled remnants of the collective's infrastructure, freeing prisoners and redistributing resources to those in need. It was grueling work, but each small victory fueled their determination. Meanwhile, reports from Earth painted a picture of cautious optimism. The resistance had seized key territories, driving back Christian forces and reclaiming cities once thought lost. Yet challenges remained. The Synarch Collective still held sway over vast regions of space, and their leaders were unlikely to surrender without a fight. Marcus knew the war was far from over, but for the first time, he allowed himself to imagine a future where peace might be possible. Emerging from the ruins, Marcus returned to Earth burdened by grief yet fueled by renewed purpose. His experiences on KRYSS Prime transformed him, instilling a deeper understanding of unity and resilience. Under his leadership, the Resistance launched strategic operations targeting key Christian strongholds, steadily reclaiming territory. Technological advancements gleaned from captured alien tech bolstered their efforts, leveling the playing field. Meanwhile, whispers of rebellion continued to ripple through the stars, inspiring countless worlds subjugated by the Synarch Collective. Marcus became a symbol of defiance, his name synonymous with hope. Yet personal losses weighed heavily on him. Nights were filled with dreams of Zartul, reminders of promises made and battles won. Determined to keep moving forward, Marcus threw himself into planning the next phase of the war, an ambitious campaign aimed at liberating KRYSS Prime entirely. Back on Earth, Marcus struggled to adjust to life among his own kind. The scars of war ran deep, both physically and emotionally. Civilians celebrated his return as a hero, but Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that he didn't belong. He found solace in the company of Commander Vega, who understood the toll combat took on the soul. Together, they poured their energy into rebuilding what had been destroyed, training new recruits, fortifying defenses, and forging alliances with other rebel factions. Their relationship evolved naturally, built on mutual respect and shared trauma. Vega often challenged Marcus when his grief threatened to consume him, reminding him of the lives depending on his leadership. "You're not just fighting for yourself anymore," she told him one evening as they stood atop a hill overlooking a reclaimed city. "You're fighting for everyone who believes in a better tomorrow." Her words struck a chord, reigniting his sense of purpose. At the same time, Marcus worked tirelessly to honor Zartul's legacy. He advocated for greater inclusion of Christians within the Resistance, recognizing their value as allies and equals. This decision wasn't universally popular. Some humans viewed the insectoid warriors with suspicion, fearing they might turn against them. But Marcus refused to compromise, arguing that true unity required trust. Slowly but surely, his vision began to take shape, bridging divides that had once seemed insurmountable. Preparations for the liberation of KRYSS Prime involved unprecedented cooperation between human and Christian rebels. Marcus spearheaded diplomatic efforts, forging alliances with leaders eager to overthrow the collective. Resources poured in from across the galaxy, including advanced weaponry, skilled fighters, and vital intelligence. Training camps buzzed with activity as diverse factions united under a common banner. Among these allies was Clara, a fierce Christian warrior who viewed Zartul as a hero. Her presence reminded Marcus of his fallen comrade, strengthening his resolve. As launch day approached, tensions ran high. Would their combined forces be enough to topple the regime? Doubts plagued even the most optimistic minds, but Marcus remained steadfast. Addressing the assembled troops, he spoke of sacrifice, bravery, and the unbreakable spirit of those fighting for justice. Cheers erupted, echoing across star systems. The logistics of organizing such a massive operation were staggering. Supply lines stretched across light years, requiring precise coordination to ensure troops received food, ammunition, and medical supplies. Engineers worked around the clock to modify alien technology for human use, while strategists debated every detail of the assault plan. Marcus insisted on transparency, holding regular meetings to address concerns and gather input from all levels of command. This inclusive approach earned him the loyalty of his soldiers, who appreciated being treated as partners rather than pawns. Tensions occasionally flared, particularly between human and Christian units unaccustomed to working together. Cultural differences sometimes led to misunderstandings, forcing Marcus to mediate disputes and remind everyone of their shared goal. "We're stronger together," he emphasized during one particularly heated argument. "If we let fear or prejudice divide us, we've already lost." His words resonated, fostering a fragile but growing sense of camaraderie. As the fleet prepared for departure, Marcus took a moment to reflect. Standing aboard the flagship's observation deck, he gazed at Earth's blue-green orb shrinking in the distance. Memories of Zartul flooded his mind, along with thoughts of all those counting on him to succeed. "This is for you," he whispered, clutching a small crystal gifted to him by Clara, a token of remembrance for her fallen kin. With steely resolve, he turned toward the bridge, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The assault on KRYSS Prime unfolded with breathtaking intensity. Fleets clashed in orbit, raining fire upon the planet below. Ground forces surged forward, engaging Christian defenders in brutal skirmishes. Marcus led from the front lines, his tactical genius turning the tide in crucial moments. Clara proved invaluable, her intimate knowledge of Christian tactics proving instrumental in securing victories. Slowly but surely, the collective's grip loosened. Key installations fell, supply lines crumbled, and morale plummeted among enemy ranks. Yet victory came at great cost. Friends fell beside foes, their sacrifices etched into the annals of history. Amidst the chaos, Marcus found himself confronting another overseer, one determined to restore order at any price. This climactic duel tested every ounce of skill and endurance Marcus possessed, pushing him to his limits. The orbital battle was a spectacle of raw power, ships exploding in bursts of light as laser cannons tore through hulls. Pilots maneuvered with precision, dodging barrages of missiles and plasma torpedoes. On the ground, the fighting was equally ferocious. Human and Christian soldiers fought side by side, their combined strength overwhelming the collective's forces. Artillery boomed, shaking the very foundations of the planet as explosions lit up the sky. Marcus moved like a shadow amidst the chaos, rallying his troops and directing attacks with uncanny accuracy. His presence alone inspired courage, turning the tide in skirmishes that might otherwise have ended in defeat. Clara's contributions were nothing short of extraordinary. She led daring raids behind enemy lines, sabotaging critical infrastructure and sowing confusion among the collective's ranks. Her agility and stealth allowed her to slip past defenses undetected, striking at the heart of their operations. When she rejoined Marcus after one such mission, her armor scorched and dented, he couldn't help but marvel at her tenacity. "You're incredible," he said simply, earning a rare smile from the stoic warrior. Their partnership grew stronger with each passing day, built on mutual admiration and shared purpose. Yet the closer they came to victory, the fiercer the resistance became. The collective's overseers deployed devastating countermeasures, unleashing experimental weapons that decimated entire battalions. Casualties mounted, testing the resolve of even the most hardened fighters. Marcus bore the weight of these losses heavily, questioning whether the cost of victory was too high. Still, he pressed on, driven by the memory of Zartul and the promise of a brighter future. Victory dawned slowly, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. With the collective's leadership decimated and their infrastructure in ruins, the rebellion claimed triumph. Celebrations erupted planet-wide, tears of joy mingling with those of sorrow. Marcus stood amidst the revelry, humbled by the magnitude of what they'd achieved. For the first time in years, peace felt tangible. Rebuilding commenced immediately, with humans and Christians working side by side to heal wounds inflicted by centuries of tyranny. Memorials honored the fallen, ensuring their legacies endured. Marcus played a pivotal role in shaping the new era, advocating for unity and cooperation. His speeches resonated globally, inspiring future generations to cherish hard-won freedoms. Yet privately, he wrestled with survivors' guilt, haunted by memories of those left behind. The celebrations were bittersweet, a mixture of elation and mourning that reflected the complexity of their victory. In the streets of liberated cities, survivors danced around bonfires fueled by remnants of the collective's war machines. Children laughed as they played among the wreckage, blissfully unaware of the sacrifices that had made their freedom possible. But for Marcus, the weight of those sacrifices was ever present. He walked among the crowds, accepting gratitude he didn't feel he deserved, his mind replaying moments of loss, friends who had died shielding him, comrades who had given everything so others might live. To cope, Marcus threw himself into the work of rebuilding. He partnered with Clara and other leaders to establish a council representing both human and Christian interests. Their debates were often heated, as centuries of mistrust couldn't be erased overnight. Yet progress was undeniable. Schools reopened, hospitals were rebuilt, and trade routes re-established. Slowly, life began to flourish again on KRYSS Prime, its scarred landscapes giving way to green shoots of renewal. Memorials became a focal point of this healing process. Massive monuments were erected across the planet, inscribed with the names of those who had fallen in the fight for liberation. At one such memorial, Marcus delivered a speech that would later be studied by historians. "We stand here today not because we are perfect," he said, his voice steady despite the lump in his throat, "but because we refuse to give up. We fought not just for ourselves, but for every being who has ever dreamed of a better world." As he spoke, he locked eyes with Clara, who nodded solemnly. The applause that followed was thunderous, a testament to the unity they had forged. Yet even as he inspired others, Marcus struggled to find peace within himself. Nights were long and sleep elusive, haunted by dreams of Zartul and the countless lives lost along the way. Vega noticed his growing isolation and confronted him one evening. "You can't carry this burden alone," she said gently. "Let us help you." Though reluctant, Marcus eventually opened up, sharing his fears and doubts with those closest to him. Their support helped lighten the load, reminding him that healing was a shared journey. Years passed, and the scars of war began to fade. KRYSS Prime flourished anew, its people embracing diversity and progress. Marcus retired from active service, devoting himself to mentoring young leaders. Though older and wiser, he retained the fiery determination that defined him. On quiet evenings, he often visited Zartul's memorial, a simple stone marker overlooking the planet's breathtaking vistas. There, he reflected on their journey, grateful for the bond they shared. Legacy became his focus, ensuring that stories of sacrifice and solidarity endured. Humanity thrived, expanding into the cosmos with newfound confidence. And though challenges remained, the lessons of the past guided them toward brighter horizons. The tale of Marcus Stone and Zartul served as a testament to the power of trust, courage, and the indomitable will to persevere against all odds. Retirement suited Marcus in some ways but left him restless in others. He missed the adrenaline rush of battle, the clarity of purpose that came with knowing exactly what needed to be done. Yet he found fulfillment in nurturing the next generation of leaders, teaching them not only tactics and strategy but also the importance of empathy and collaboration. Many of his students went on to hold positions of influence, carrying forward the values he had instilled in them. Zartul's memorial became a sacred place for Marcus, a sanctuary where he could process his emotions and reconnect with the ideals that had driven him throughout the war. It wasn't uncommon for others to join him there. Survivors seeking closure, children curious about the alien warrior who had defied his own kind to save humanity. Marcus welcomed these visitors, sharing stories of Zartul's bravery and selflessness. Over time, the memorial transformed into a symbol of hope, drawing pilgrims from across the galaxy. Meanwhile, Earth continued to rebuild under the guidance of its new leaders. Advances in technology allowed humanity to explore farther than ever before, forging alliances with species once considered enemies. These relationships weren't always easy. Cultural differences and lingering distrust occasionally sparked conflicts. But the lessons learned during the war, about resilience, compromise, and the strength found in diversity, helped navigate these challenges. Marcus took pride in seeing how far they had come, though he never forgot the cost of that progress. As the years turned into decades, Marcus grew older but no less passionate. He wrote extensively about his experiences, penning memoirs and essays aimed at preserving the memory of those who had sacrificed everything. These writings became required reading for cadets entering military service, ensuring that the sacrifices of the past would never be forgotten. When asked why he dedicated so much time to documenting history, Marcus simply replied, "So no one has to make the same mistakes twice." Though Marcus had stepped away from the front lines, his legacy lived on in countless ways. Young officers quoted his strategies in training exercises, while politicians referenced his speeches when advocating for unity and cooperation. Across the galaxy, statues and murals depicted him standing alongside Zartul, immortalizing their unlikely alliance as a beacon of hope. Yet Marcus himself remained humble, deflecting praise and focusing instead on the work still ahead. "We've won a battle," he often said, "but the war for justice is never truly over." In his final years, Marcus returned to Karawasis Prime, drawn back to the planet where it had all begun. The world had changed dramatically since his first visit. It was now a thriving hub of interstellar commerce and diplomacy, home to beings from dozens of species. Walking its streets, Marcus marveled at how far they had come. Children of all races played together, laughing without a care in the world. Markets bustled with activity, vendors hawking goods from distant planets. Even the ruins of the collective's regime had been repurposed, their towering spires now housing museums and cultural centers. On one of his last visits to Zartul's memorial, Marcus encountered a young Christian girl named Sira. She approached him shyly, holding out a small crystal carving shaped like a star. "My father told me about you," she said softly. "He said you and Zartul saved us." Marcus knelt down to meet her gaze, touched by her sincerity. "Your father was right," he replied, placing a hand on her shoulder. "But it wasn't just us. It was everyone who believed in a better future, and everyone who still does." That night, As Marcus gazed at the stars from the hilltop where Zartul's memorial stood, he felt a profound sense of peace. He thought about the journey that had brought him here, the battles fought, the friendships forged, the lives lost and saved. Though the road had been long and fraught with hardship, it had led to something beautiful. A galaxy united not by fear or force, but by hope and shared purpose. When Marcus finally passed away, surrounded by loved ones and friends from every corner of the universe, his death was mourned as deeply as his life had been celebrated. Tributes poured in from across the stars, honoring the man who had bridged divides and inspired change. Yet perhaps the greatest tribute of all was the legacy he left behind. A galaxy striving, imperfectly but persistently, toward peace. And somewhere, watching over it all, Marcus knew Zartul would have been proud. This concludes the expanded narrative. Each section has been carefully crafted to double the original word count while maintaining depth, action, and emotional resonance. If you'd like further adjustments or additional expansions, feel free to let me know.